The following conversation is with Lauren Abda. Lauren is an entrepreneur in the creation of two companies. She first founded Branchfood, a community network for food entrepreneurs in the Northeast region of the United States. In follow-up, Lauren then co-founded Branch Venture Group to provide high-growth stage startups with the network, capital, and expertise they need to succeed. Our conversation today is wide-ranging as we cover Lauren's family roots in Lebanon, her career path into the food industry, key advice that she has for the next generation of food and ag tech startup founders, plus so much more. I'm Don Davidson. This is the Regenerative Agriculture Club podcast. And coming up, please enjoy my conversation with Lauren Abda. Hey everyone. Thanks for coming back. Got another great interview here for you all today, and that's because I'm sharing the podcast floor with Lauren Abda, co-founder of Branch Venture Group, founder and CEO of Branchfood, and we're going to get into a lot of fascinating topics. I'm thrilled to have Lauren here with us. So Lauren, thank you and welcome for hanging here today.
Thank you for inviting me. Happy to be part of it.
Yeah, so a lot I want to dive into. But before we do that, a couple of years ago, I spent a lot of time doing food sustainability and regenerative agriculture work in the Middle East region. And so that was my first on the ground experience in the region, because I've always read about it. I had been fascinated with that region just from the multicultural nuances, going back through the ages of history. But being there, that really kind of it opened my curiosity and fascination even more about the food culture in that region. And so I thought maybe it would be good just to kind of start with your origin story and just your family background within that region and how that may have shaped get you to the point with the work that you're doing today.
Great. Well, it's such a fascinating region for food. I mean, so much of the food that's consumed is imported. And though despite that fact, it has a really, really rich food history in being, the Fertile Crescent and so much of our kind of food coming from there, at least originally, the dawn of civilization. But in having a Lebanese family and growing up with really strong kind of heritage and recognition of that background, food was always a really unique aspect of my life and of the food that I was raised eating. Despite the fact that I grew up in Scranton, Pennsylvania, we were, eating a lot of Lebanese food. And I'm a little bitter that my family was not part of the trend in bringing that food to America in a mass way. I think the Sabra hummus and the Tribe and Cedars and all of these brands that have emerged over the course of my lifetime, I'm like, gosh, we could have been there. But no, it's one of the healthiest diets in the world, the Mediterranean diet and the Middle Eastern diet. Very plant-based, very lean meat-based, healthy fats-based. And I think, in growing up and having that be such a unique aspect of my upbringing, it made me realize that food is different and, can be very diverse. And so it was always something that made me stand out, I think, as a person, and, kind of captured my interest over the course of, those formative years when I was trying to decide what I wanted to study in school and where my interests really were. And so ended up, pursuing a formal education in nutrition, food science, and food policy following that, which is really what brought me to Boston, where I ended up launching a meetup group after returning from time away. I started my career at the World Trade Organization in Geneva, Switzerland, working on international food policy work. But really felt like there was an opportunity to do something more in Boston related to food and entrepreneurship and supporting the community coming together here. And so moved back at the beginning of 2013, started a meetup group on meetup.com, which was at the time a much more popular platform than it is today. But that was really the precursor to Branchfood and Branch Venture Group and all of the work that we do today. So originally starting, I think, with those strong heritage roots, but kind of making a company of my own based on, influences that had happened over the course of my life.
So Branchfood, that was the first company, right?
Yeah.
So for those that may not be familiar, can you just describe what Branchfood is and just kind of the work that you're doing within the New England region?
Yeah, absolutely. So, I think the food industry is at such an interesting inflection point. It's both a moment of enormous innovation and excitement, while also a time of food insecurity and instability. and ensuring innovators have access to the right resources, support networks, people that can really help them bring their ideas to fruition and bring their goals to fruition. It was that spirit that Branchfood was really born to provide. And so we are a resource hub for emerging food startups and food founders. We have a shared co-working space in downtown Boston for businesses to work from. We host numerous events over the course of the year for entrepreneurs and industry experts, corporate food companies to tune into, to get connected, share their work, and support each other in their kind of innovation goals. We also have a membership aspect to the organization where you, as a food founder or industry participant, can be a member and get access to mentorship network, a resource portal. We have custom newsletters that we produce, a lot of content to help provide support around knowledge about what's happening in the industry, the latest information that's kind of happening, but also connection to others to raise awareness about what they're doing, and opportunities for collaboration based on that activity. So Branchfood has really grown over the years. We've supported over 783 startups. We've hosted over 200 events, and our mentorship network is now over 31 individuals. So it's very active. It's been a very active 6 years nurturing this community and developing resources for individuals that seek to impact food and really bring, I think, the industry into a more sustainable, environmentally friendly, and supportive of better health outcomes place.
So, what would be a typical profile of a startup or food business that is going to be a member within the organization?
So the companies that we really focus on supporting through the Branchfood membership, as we've designed it to date, is very early stage. So these are companies that are, pre-product or may have, a product in market. They are typically, companies that are co-founded by 1 to 3 individuals. They've identified some level of traction for the product, technology, or service that they're bringing to market. They are, in growth mode, and so they're looking for others that can help support the refinement of that product, the refinement of that messaging, that branding. Really zeroing in on their target customer and focusing on building for that. Not necessarily, funded. I think a lot of the companies that we work with are just getting to that point where they're in need of early stage funding and have had either the traction or the team development or some sort of novel breakthrough in their work to take it to the next level. And so we can talk about Branch Venture Group separately, but that is really the role that Branch Venture Group seeks to play, which is supporting those companies through capital. So the typical profile is, very early stage, but I would say eagerly looking to connect and network and get support for their goals.
Would you say the typical startup that's part of the group, are they producing the actual end product for consumers, or are they, I know, like, just with advances in things like biotech and ag tech, or is it going to fall more in that line where they're producing technology for other producers out there in the marketplace?
So the companies are typically in one of 3 categories: consumer packaged goods, food tech, or ag tech. Those are the 3 kind of areas of the food system that we focus on in terms of our resource development and support. In terms of consumer packaged goods, these are brands that are just coming to market. Typically, the entrepreneurs are outsourcing the development of those products. So they're co-packing or using contract manufacturers to develop the product. And they're really focused on sales, marketing, branding initiatives to support the brand and its awareness raising. Beyond that, food tech for us is digital content and media, e-commerce marketplace platforms, hospitality technology, supply chain technology. The state of those businesses, again, is pretty early stage. They may have, a minimum viable product in market that they're working to, kind of pilot with different partners. They may have formed strategic relationships with larger companies that are open to, collaborating with them and seeing if this could be a viable technology for their work. I would say the same thing for ag tech, though for us, ag tech is inclusive of robotics, sensors, drones, even life sciences for food, which we do see a lot of here in the Boston area, being such a place for academia and labs, and that really early stage kind of emerging work in the life sciences sector. But there have been people that have kind of transitioned over into the food industry to apply what they're working on, and their novel kind of innovation to food. And so for us, the landscape of businesses that we work with is pretty broad within food, but very early stage, and some semblance of traction or team development, that's really encouraged these entrepreneurs to continue pursuing their goals and their business ideas.
So for the startups out there that would just be curious in learning more about Branchfood or just reaching out about potential membership, I mean, would those be the core requirements, like have some sort of traction in that team building stage? Anything else beyond that?
Yeah, I think generally, we've built our services to support entrepreneurs that are working on novel technologies, new ingredients, new products with a strong food science foundation, services, or other types of technology that are coming in to support various aspects of the food supply chain. As we think about entrepreneurs that we want to support, from a funding perspective too, I think we're certainly looking for individuals that have had proven track record in entrepreneurship or worked within organizations where they've had kind of a lead role and are really best suited to be bringing this product to market due to their experience or connections or sort of formal education background. We look for businesses that have some sort of ownership around IP, trademarks. We're looking for defensible technology, something unique, and not just kind of another cookie company or another kind of cracker company coming to market, but really something that has a unique innovation, whether it be on the technology side, the branding front, the packaging front. Businesses that are kind of translating those consumer trends of health, wellness, environment, sustainability into the businesses that they're creating.
I found in my work too that food transcends all cultures, but there are unique market drivers in each geographic region around the globe that really kind of determine what path startups should probably take. So with the companies that are part of Branchfood, are they kind of taking a global viewpoint, or are they kind of narrowing that focus within, whether it's just a domestic region or even just within the Northeast?
I think with so many of the businesses that we see, they definitely have global aspirations, but at the point with which we're introduced to them, they're focused pretty regionally on developing, a product that can support something at an early stage, and really focused on, building for the here and now, and building for, one kind of use case. As they look to scale, there are certainly partners that, they've can then work with that can help them understand the growth opportunity and the scale opportunity for whatever technology they're working on. But I think at the onset, they're very regionally focused on really trying to figure out how this works in, the Northeast versus the Southwest versus, maybe another country within North America. And again, this is, mostly through the lens of our work based in Boston, and, kind of where we see companies going as they grow. But I think what's so interesting about some of these businesses today is that, they almost start out globally or with a global mindset, based on the inherent impact that they want to have as a business, and in terms of a founding team. I mean, the inspiration for a lot of these businesses to be created is what's going on at a global level. And though, while at the start they're kind of focusing locally on, how do we bring this to market? How do we think about it? How do we grow? Very quickly, I think that they actually do become global from the perspective of their strategic partnerships that are formed with other, kind of larger companies that are looking for this innovation and looking for this technology. So it's been pretty exciting to see that happen for a couple of our portfolio companies at Branch Venture Group, who, have caught the ear and caught the attention of larger companies that can really use their work to support their businesses.
You mentioned Branch Venture Group, so probably a good time to kind of jump in over to that side of the world. So, and now I kind of see all the pieces coming together. You have the community platform here with Branchfood, so it's a natural progression. Add the stack on the venture side of things. So, can you talk more about the origin story of Branch Venture Group?
Absolutely. So, as a continuation of the resources we've been developing for entrepreneurs over the course of growing Branch Venture Group, and really focusing on, who are our consumers? What are their needs? What can we provide for them? Continuing to go deeper, with that target customer of our own. We really realize that, one major stumbling block for a lot of these companies, or, an area of challenge, is really funding, and funding at an early stage in their development. And so I ended up partnering with one of the women that I used to work with at a former job of mine. I was an analyst for her venture fund, Salt Venture Partners. And we came together to create an angel investment network, Branch Venture Group, to support emerging founders in their capital needs. We decided to create an angel investment network because it was really at the early stage that these companies needed funding, and that is typically in advance of funding that they're able to access through more traditional kind of financial institutions like venture capital funds, certainly private equity funds, even debt financing. A lot of these businesses don't have assets, and so they can't get debt against the assets that they don't have, because so many of them, particularly in the case of emerging food brands, are just starting to produce, but they're outsourcing a lot of that. So they don't own their manufacturing facility. They don't own, a lot of the things that they're producing. Interestingly, we have seen inventory financing come in as an alternative to equity financing, but conversation for another day. So Branch Venture Group was created nearly 4 years ago now. The companies that we are really looking to support are typically raising anywhere from $500,000 to $3 million. Like I was saying before, they have a product in market. They have some early traction that's somewhat promising. They're zeroing in on their target customer. They're forming strategic partnerships with bigger companies, whether they be retailers, ingredient suppliers, agriculture businesses. There is that kind of long-term potential for their work. And we look primarily in North America for these businesses across, the area here. And in terms of our membership, and this is really, I think kind of an important aspect of Branch Venture Group, which we've been very intentional about, is bringing together accredited angel investors that have food industry backgrounds, knowledge, and expertise. And so not only can our angels fund these companies with their own capital at an early stage, but also they can provide guidance, mentorship, advice to companies that are facing challenges that they themselves may have gone through in their food companies, or if they launched a business in the past too. So it really is that support of a community of individuals that have food expertise that we've tried to assemble through the development of Branch Venture Group, and we've been successful. We've got now 14 portfolio companies. We've participated in 23 financing rounds. And we've been able to raise over $3 million for emerging companies in the consumer packaged goods, food tech, and ag tech sectors.
You mentioned that the geographic footprint's broader for Branch Venture Group. Is that very similar with the profile of the companies, or is it going to be very similar to just those three main category verticals that are part of Branch Food?
Yeah, so I would actually say that based on the onset of COVID, Branch Food's work has been able to expand much further than we ever really thought it could. We've had, so much of our programming and our work and our mentorship has gone online, and so it's really reduced the geographical barriers for Branch Food. And I would actually say at this point, we've outpaced the scope of Branch Venture Group in terms of a regional focus. BVG, the regional focus primarily related to our investors wanting to invest in North American-based entities and actual businesses that have a location here. It's also kind of interesting as you think about currency differences and exchange, what that can do to an investment, or how that can change and how that's different for valuations. And so we focus primarily on North America because of those reasons, but with Branch Venture Group, but actually for Branch Food, we now have members and participants in our programs from all over the world. We don't always do those things during the best hours for everybody to participate in them worldwide, but we record all of our sessions. They're there for people to tune into if they can't during the live one, and really are kind of moving to be a global company at this point.
I'm curious, since you have many years of experience in this space, and just from my vantage point as an amateur um, observer, it would seem like the appetite for more impact investing by angels in regenerative agriculture practices, food sustainability, and just the advancements of that has to be trending upward. So I'm curious, over the past years, has that proven true? And then now looking forward, what's going to help advance that if there are any current barriers with these startups that want to pursue that path?
Yeah, I think there's absolutely a trend in terms of increased investment activity at an early stage of a company's development. One, there are more companies being created now more than ever. The ecosystem of support across every industry, not just food, is really maturing. And I joke, here in Boston, we have so many academic institutions, and they all now have an entrepreneurship center. They have an engaged alumni network that they're supporting. They have a landing, a launch pad for businesses that are either being created by students or created by, professors, researchers, or people that have graduated from the school. It's like, God forbid we ever lose another Facebook. Like, it's not going to happen. Boston has matured so much that that brain drain that we actually used to talk about, and that leaving the city after graduation is not always, I think, the preferred route for people to be able to go if they really want to start their own companies. There's just so much support, funding, incubators, accelerators, mentor networks. All of that is really present here now, and I think in other cities as well. There's been a very active development of those ecosystems, and so yeah, I think it's interesting to see how that's developed for the food community as well. I mean, certainly an area that Branchfood is trying to address in terms of support for those types of businesses and companies. But I think in terms of where it's going and what comes next, I think we'll continue to see businesses form, and I think that will be accelerated, and not just because the ecosystem has developed, but because major companies that are really have a lot of the funding and ability to support this innovation are getting very engaged, and they're collaborating with businesses and entrepreneurs in so many different ways. I mean, accelerators have been kind of the preferred model for a while, but those are kind of being phased out a little bit. And I think businesses are starting to realize, we can't just have a program that checks the box of innovation and gives us that window into innovation and kind of startup activity. We really have to integrate this into our work and work with those entrepreneurs and innovators and universities and kind of emerging businesses to understand where we can change, we can collaborate, and we can ensure the future of our companies. And so at Branchfood, we actually have a new program that we've launched for industry leaders, which are corporate food companies, to help them better interface with emerging startups and the innovation community. So we've had wonderful reception on behalf of corporate businesses that we've been speaking with about this new offering. We're thrilled to be able to be working on it with even companies that are from Asia and different parts of Europe at this point. So a really exciting time, and I think evolution of what we're seeing in terms of participation on behalf of every stakeholder in supporting a better future for food.
I'm curious to get your take on the topic of the challenges. Are there any challenges that are maybe unique to the food tech space, or is it the same challenges that a SaaS company would face?
Yeah, I think at the end of the day, we're no matter what you're doing, you're sort of relying on a growing season, and you're relying on a cold chain, and you're relying on the movement of heavy goods in food. And so that presents a lot of challenges for emerging companies to, get the funding that they need to launch and grow and scale. I think that, there's this looming question of how we're going to feed 10 billion people in 2050 that so many people are trying to work on, from a food waste perspective, from a supply chain perspective, from an end consumer perspective. So there's a lot of forces, I think, and pressure that, I'm hopeful will create a diamond, which will be, the next kind of version of this food system that we're hoping for. But yeah, it seems that, there's so much activity happening, but really due to the pressures that the food system is experiencing now. And it's exciting to see entrepreneurs meeting those challenges in so many different creative ways. I feel like it's one of the greatest pleasures of my job is just spending time, listening to people that see a better future for food, and are, kind of building these businesses to help meet those demands and meet that interest and really meet the need for an evolution of the system that is currently in place. And
What would be your advice to, I guess, that upcoming next generation of soon to be food and ag tech founders? I mean, as somebody that's looking to go all in on this, I mean, you've built a career out of this, and so you've probably seen a lot of wins, you've probably seen a lot of failures. So for those that are looking to go all in on this, what would be your advice?
yeah, I would say, be curious, be open to feedback, be interested in, educating yourself. There's so many challenges and so many opportunities for innovation in food right now, and there will always be. Those aren't going to go anywhere. We can always improve. We can always be better. So I think for founders that are looking to get involved right now, there's never been a better time to launch a business. There's, as I mentioned before, so many different types of support services for those folks to really get involved. But I think too, I would say on the flip side, know yourself, know what you're good at, find people that can complement you and support areas that may not come as naturally to you as a founder, and stick with it. I think that there's this anticipation that success will happen really fast, and I think that media is supportive of that narrative. We see companies raising millions and millions of dollars at these very high valuations, very early on in their development, but it doesn't always happen that way. And in fact, that's kind of often how it does not happen. And so, stick with it. Be curious, find the right team. Educate yourself on whatever area it is that you're trying to provide a solution for, and work hard. It's not easy. This entrepreneurship is not an easy path. It can be a very exciting path. It can be a very fulfilling path. It could also be a lonely path. Recognize what your needs are, to remain excited and happy and enjoying the ride. And if it doesn't work out, it's totally fine. And I think so many times I find myself really inspired by people that call it early and say, it's not really working for me. I want to do something else. I want to do something different. I want to work for a well-resourced company. I want to work with a talented team. And I'd love to create that myself, but maybe it's not the right time, or maybe this isn't the right idea. And spending some time in corporate companies or spending some time with other businesses can also teach you a lot about how to run a business and how to manage a team. And when the time does come that you want to branch out and you've found collaborators and you're working on your company, those learnings will carry through with you. So, it's never lost. That experience is never lost. I think it's only additive to an entrepreneurial path.
What's your take on like a solo founder starting up versus one that's coming to you to Branch Venture Group that has more of a co-founder team aspect? Because you mentioned like having that support system, and so I guess my viewpoint would be that it's probably better just to have a co-founder of complementary skill set, but maybe there are some unique profiles of solo founders that can do it that way.
Yeah, I think whether a single founder or a multi-person founding team. I mean, even with the single founders, we see them have really strong mentor networks. We see them have folks that they work with on a dedicated basis. I myself am a single founder for Branchfood, at least, and so over the years, I've really tried to be very self-aware about where I needed support, and tried to find that in the community and through other people that were interested in entrepreneurship and spending their time and had expertise in areas that I was looking to learn about. And so, nothing happens alone. And in fact, having those collaborators and like I do for Branch Venture Group can be so much more helpful. Two heads are certainly better than one. And getting those contrasting perspectives and complementary perspectives, I think is only, valuable to ultimately what you want to create. Not everyone sees things the same way. And so finding those people that can provide differing perspectives, I think ultimately help you have a stronger business and a stronger product that you're bringing to market. So incredibly important. And oftentimes something that people I've found access if they are a solo founder through these accelerator programs and through, other types of networks that they're engaged in.
You mentioned being a solo founder with Branchfood. So going back to those early days with you as a solo founder, was there a single moment that made you realize that, oh, this business is going to pop? Like this is actually real, or was it more of a longer term evolutionary path?
It was very gradual for me. I wouldn't say that there was a moment of virality with Branchfood at any point. I mean, ultimately, we're a professional services company. We're not a technology company. While I think interest in our resources has grown over the years, there's never been a moment where we're totally inundated with requests and people wanting to work with us in every which way. But yeah, I think it's been a very evolving kind of business for me, and has really taken 6 years to really develop. So never quite that pop where I'm like, oh, okay, I can go out and raise a bunch of money to keep this going. It's been more, just kind of a grind and working with different people over the years, and kind of putting on different hats as it relates to the future of what Branchfood can be, and realizing, when I did find great talent, or when I did find good people helping to create a situation which they wanted to stay and stick on and join me in this vision. So I don't think I ever really wanted to be a solo founder. I think it kind of just happened that way. But thankfully today I have more folks than I did then. And it's such a pleasure working with people that, share the vision.
So what's up? What's up next? What's the future look like if we look at like kind of the near term, that 1 to 3 year time horizon for both the Branchfood and Branch Venture Group?
Yeah, it's a great question, and something that we're always thinking about the future. So I think on the Branchfood side, we've always felt like there is opportunity for expansion, regional expansion, with the development of these innovative food communities in other cities, other states. We want to play a supportive role for those companies coming to fruition, those entrepreneurs that are looking for resources, and really want to exist as that connective tissue within those locations for that innovation to take place. So regional expansion is on the horizon for us over the course of the next couple of years. I anticipate you'll see more Branchfoods in other places around the U.S. and potentially beyond. I think too the corporate membership that we've been pursuing is really interesting to me, because I think for so long we were very focused on entrepreneurs as our target customer. And getting back to your advice for emerging startups, focusing on your first customer is really important, and getting that person down and understanding their needs and understanding what you're building for them. But, keep other prospective target customers in mind as well. And I think over the course of the last 6 years we've been doing this, we've been approached by numerous corporate companies saying, hey, we want access to your startup community. We want to understand how they're thinking about innovation, how they're bringing these new products to market. We never really had a great program and a great product for them, but now we do, and it's so powerful because our coverage of the food entrepreneur community is so vast and so broad. So I'm really excited to be working more so with those businesses that, have a lot of resources to affect change and can collaborate with these startups and entrepreneurs in a really meaningful, impactful way. On the Branch Venture Group front as well, I think that we continue to see exciting opportunities for investment. We will continue to support businesses at an early stage that need that capital, and look forward to growing the angel investment network to better connect entrepreneurs with seasoned industry leaders that also want to be investors. So I would say for anyone out there interested in early stage investment in food startups, be in touch with Branch Venture Group. We've got really amazing deal flow. A lot of it obviously comes through the Branchfood network, and are one of the only entities in the world that's solely focused on early stage investment through an angel investment network in food related companies.
All right, Lauren, this has been an absolute pleasure. So I'm just going to give you the final word. If you wouldn't mind, take us out. How can people follow along with the work that you individually are doing, and for folks, where do you want people to go to get further engaged with Branchfood and Branch Venture Group?
Great. Well, please check out branchfood.com, branchventuregroup.com. Also, our annual conference, Food Edge, which I know we didn't get a chance to talk very much about, but we provide lots of resources for emerging companies, people that are interested in this space. Some of it's free, other things are paid for, but depending on your needs and depending on your goals, I think we have an answer for you. So if you'd like to reach out, my email address is just lauren@branchfood.com, lauren@branchventuregroup.com. I'm always on email. I treat it like a checklist, so I will surely get back to you. And yeah, we're super excited about the future of food. We're, very happy to be creating products for connection in support of innovation, and look forward to connecting with anyone that sees a better future for the industry and wants to work within a supportive community to create that.
Excellent. All right. We're going to link all that up in the show notes. All right. That's Lauren Abda, everyone. Thanks for listening. Talk to you soon.
Thanks, everybody.